Hello and welcome to the Pro Detailer Magazine podcast. We are on our final episode of Series 2. It's sad, but you know what? We have got a special treat in store for you, a very, very special celebrity guest in the form of Mr. Alan of Medcraf.
Did you just say celebrity guest?
I did say celebrity guest.
Hello.
Hello.
I've heard you cackle before.
Even before this, there was no cackling until he said the word celebrity. Like,
See, I recognise that noise, but I'd never put the face to it. It was always dark at the time. So today we're actually doing a very late podcast. Normally we do them in kind of mid-afternoon, but at the moment we have been all over the place. Alan has come all the way from Bonnie, Scotland.
hello.
And set off from Elgin, which is basically North Poland down a bit.
A little bit.
And
North Poland Downs.
no, down a bit. Via Glasgow, I would imagine.
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen.
So, yeah, generally a lot of people say, why are you all the way up there and think you can do international training? You can come to a legitimate international airport at Aberdeen.
And Aberdeen's
Yeah.
nice Scotland.
Yeah.
Well, it's rich
Nice
Scotland.
Scotland.
It's well, hang
very
on.
great.
You're talking to somebody who's actually never in his life been to Scotland.
Well, I've been to a lot of Scotland, and it's very nice. All of it, apart from bits. But
Aberdeen is nice. It's like
Yeah.
our connection to civilization. So if we want to go to see like big shops or big global brands, that's where we need to go.
You go to the big Tesco there.
Go to the big shop. No, really, just to go on a right tangent. In Elgin, we're blessed because we're this weird kind of. We are technically a city because we have a cathedral, but I'd say we're like the size of a town that you would
Yeah.
have here.
I've seen it on Google Earth.
But randomly, everything's 24 hours. All the garages, the Tesco's, the Asda. And it's that weird thing that we're like, it's become a luxury to just go to these shops or garages or late nights to get these things. And then I land in Aberdeen after a late night flight back in from whatever country I've been training in at the time, and you're like, oh great, I'll just grab a, caffeinated beverage.
I think it's because that far north you have that day that just lasts
just
for
keeps
6
going.
months at a time.
But then you can't. I land in Aberdeen and think I'll get a quick caffeine drink and a cake to drive home with, and nothing's open.
But it's full of oil riggers and strip joints, from my memory.
Yeah, so they're all still offshore making their money, and I don't
What, the strippers or the oil rigs?
know, all of them, all of the money.
Everything's greased.
Dear God, what are we?
We're just
less
smug
than
now.
3 minutes in.
And we're already talking about grease poles.
3 minutes in.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, when I picked her up, so just to fill everybody in, I've been up and down to the NEC Classic to shoot various things, and then I came down to Reading to pick you up at Swallowfield. And you, as you were leaving, you told Pete Davis of Design by Detail, who
We keep mentioning Pete on podcasts.
I know, he knows.
You need to
Random
get him
clowns.
on
And then he
the
messaged.
podcast.
Yeah, it is. It's like when just name dropping the celebrity of Swallowfield, and the
One and only.
And Alan turns around and says, "If I dial 555, it's my emergency. Come and rescue me." And admittedly, I turned up in a pretty scabby Subaru with warning lights all over the place and no suspension and stuff like that.
100%, Bert. Like we were saying it, we've known each other in this industry a long time, but we're definitely two people that like to use a little bit of innuendo in our day-to-day discussions.
We like to put a stick in it.
Yeah, when you put the two of us together, it definitely calls for a secret word.
Yes.
So I thought I would make him aware that if I say or text 555, it's gone too far. Come get me.
It's secret word versus safe word as well, because we've always had the safe word.
Always.
Numbnuts.
I thought it was potatoes.
No. Oh, shoot.
Wow, we've gone all this time.
Yeah.
Well, we've never had to say it.
Oh, Ian's got in control of the buttons. Yeah. So, and then, I picked up and told you here. Okay, hands off. What we're going to talk about is lots of exciting things today, as you can imagine. But what I wanted to do was touch for a bit on, Alan, you have had a rough as buggery last year, haven't you, with the health side of things. And we don't want to go into too much detail because Alan's already done that, and I felt slightly sick at the things that he had to go through.
Safe word.
Yeah. And so basically, you have a sort of a chronic thing that actually is in my family too, but I've escaped it too.
Five.
Yeah. Well, I
Wouldn't wish it on anyone, so high five to you.
Yeah. And as a result, you had what they call a flare up.
No.
No?
No, so I never had would I have a flare up? No. So 10, 12 years ago, just before going full time in the industry, actually, which we just talked about. Thank you, Ian. for reminding me about that.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, whilst I was still in the Air Force, I had an operation called a hemicolectomy. Have it in the Air Force when you're on bupa and getting paid top whack money. Whoop, whoop. Which knocked me out for a long time, like now, which was they went in through a beautiful little scar around my belly button and took out my appendix, the right-hand side of your bowel, and the first loop on your right-hand side. Gone.
Now, is that your big intestine?
Big bowel.
Your colon?
Yeah, so that came out because it was all inflamed with Crohn's. People can Google if they want, but I advise you don't. It's not nice.
Don't do the image search.
Don't do the image search,
Yeah.
just do the text thing. So I had that and naively had forgotten how long recovery was at the time because, it was 12 years ago and I was getting paid and, Sarah's mum put me up at her place. So it was all very comfortable for my recovery and whatever else. And this time round, what happens over the years is scar tissue gets tighter, tighter, tighter. So if you can imagine, pretty much since anyone has ever known me, in the background, my bowel's slowly been getting tighter and I'm making up with more issues as you do, but you just live life. We've talked about it earlier. If we talk about
And your voice gradually goes up, doesn't it? That's
yeah,
just
you
why
get
you're
tighter and tighter.
Like Mickey Mouse before you went in. Yeah.
So this scar tissue was getting tighter. So over time, we've been trying different medications, different things to make life as comfortable as I can with this scenario I've got, but knowing an operation was needed. But me and Sarah have just been through that period of life of having children. So we were delaying it past that time so that it could be a more convenient time to have
More workable.
More manageable time to have an operation. Of which then pre-COVID I was in quite a lot. Then during COVID when avoided going in, but February I went in. Daughter born in March.
Congrats.
Then well done me. That wasn't in my notes. That's from memory. Good effort. Then love you. A couple of times.
Don't worry, they won't be listening.
A couple of times went in and out of hospital for roughly a week's period. If anyone that follows our social, and basically what had happened is an abscess is growing on that joint internally to the bowel, and it got so big it decided to see if it could go outside the bowel. So that happened, went in, and apparently you don't have to go in for an operation. You can just go on steroids and antibiotics and magical drugs and wait about 7 days, and it might or may not seal itself back up. So we tried that, and I went home, and then I detailed a big massive man van, like basically a Volkswagen Crafter, but
Man van, yes,
looks
yeah.
epic. Honestly, those things are cool. That's my Sparky's van. So I detailed that on the Saturday. Didn't feel so good, so he came and helped me. Then Sunday I went into hospital and it turned out, that abscess had got big and burst through again. So the Thursday they chopped it out.
And they cut you open from tip to tip.
Pretty much, yeah.
At any point, did you try Radweld?
No, but we thought about it. Not from the top either, like the foamy one, just in from the bottom.
From the rear exit.
Well, it's closer to the, instead of going all the way through the small bowel and everything.
Just sort of hands.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine.
Yeah, and you just do it like when you're greasing anything, just do it until it starts coming out.
Yep.
Yep.
Like
And then
expandy
stops, hopefully.
Yeah.
I do miss a grease nipple on a car. None of my cars have grease
I
nipples.
don't have a grease nipple in and around my trouser area.
Oh,
just
okay. Okay.
Right, so keep away. Keep away.
We were going to.
So, that happened. Then I had what is the standard, I think, about 2.5 weeks recovery.
Yeah.
Went home for my daughter's naming day.
Is that what you're calling it?
Yes, because we don't have a religious christening, but we want to legally have guide parents, which is the non-religious way of godparent.
Yeah.
So basically, if anything, God forbid, was happened to me and Sarah, we've allocated the people by law who would look after Georgie.
I'm bitter that I've never been asked to be godparents, and the one thing is I'm completely non-religious.
Do you want mine?
Well, no.
Well, you can now
exactly.
be a guide
Hell no,
parent.
yours.
No,
No,
complain about it.
and now I know there can be a civil one, so that my
Yes.
atheism doesn't get in the way.
Honestly,
of it.
and they are fantastic things. Like we've either always completely avoided religion, Sarah and I, but my family have always done religious stuff.
Yeah.
This is a random tangent, I know.
It is.
And this bit in the middle is fantastic. I think it's just such a great way, especially the way we are with all these multicultures, multi-stuff going on, that you can bring everyone together.
Yeah.
And it's more just about the purpose of the event.
Yeah.
Rather than all the background stuff. So it means both our children have both had a day that is all about them, but there's still the legal thing of, God forbid something happens, these are the people we want to look after.
the poor sods are going to
And no priests, which is always optimal around children.
High five. Potatoes. So I have this naming day, and then on Sunday I go back in hospital because I had infections, and then I nearly get over the infections, and then in hospital I get COVID, and then I spend a week on a COVID ward, and then I get out, and then I have 10 days isolating at home without my family, and then everything goes back to normal.
Well, they said you should wait 12 weeks before doing anything, and you're on week 8, and you've just flown down here and are doing a training weekend and all sorts of bits and
This
bobs.
doesn't go out to like medical or insurance people, does it?
No.
Excellent.
No.
Then yes, that happened.
Yes.
You say you were without the family. Were you in the man cave at home, or were they just elsewhere?
No, so through COVID, when I was traveling and teaching and going into red zones and stuff, I was following all the guidelines and staying in the man cave. But this time around, because I legitimately did have COVID and it was quite rough, weirdly, I don't want to get into it, but
You put them in the man
I was
cave.
going to say, you can go in.
weirdly, the guidelines are that I could go home and my family could be there and we could do stuff and they wouldn't have COVID. I don't understand it, but we were not taking any risks. And my wife, anyway, had already planned to go to her mother's and take the children because I was meant to be in Belgium teaching RUPES and ID and all that sort of stuff out there, but that trip got cancelled because I was in hospital. So it just strategically worked great that she went off to the mother's and I had 10 days in the house, barely getting upstairs, but I managed to get over COVID and do that isolation period.
Keen. Well, yes, because your time in the COVID ward was particularly unpleasant, wasn't it? And we don't want to go into too much detail, but it was a sort of a death a day sort of thing, which is quite tough to handle. Really.
I will happily say I did not that. I believe COVID is a thing, but I also believe I was very lucky to be naive to COVID, as in anyone I met who'd had COVID just stayed at home and had a cold-like symptom.
Yeah.
The only real people I'd heard of that weren't doing so well. So John Hole didn't do very well, so we felt bad for him. And seeing everything that's going on there. But apart from that, and then through the idea, I met a few Americans that had potentially lost friends, but as terribly selfish as it sounds, I never came in contact with seeing firsthand
Nothing in your particular bubble.
the rawness of COVID. Is that the word?
worst case.
Until you have it. And it hit me hard, but then we were balancing up. Is this because I'm recovering from surgery infection? But then when you go on a COVID ward and see other people suffering from it, then that is pretty raw. So that opened my eyes a little bit, yeah.
I remember my dad went into hospital just after this first lockdown for an operation for melanoma, and we were all a little bit worried that he was going to get COVID. No, MRSA.
Oof.
Yeah.
Still kicks us.
Yeah. You still get tested for that when you go in. So when I went, I got tested for COVID, I got tested for MRSA and something else where I said potato because I felt uncomfortable. But apparently it's perfectly normal.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I think I'm a member of the RSPB, but I've never had MRSA. It's tricky. So that's what's happened recently.
Still not the tumbleweed button, is it?
You need to get the tumbleweed.
I've changed
Make the
it.
change.
Can't be like screwed. So what I want to do is, for those who are more recently in the industry, I mean, Alan and I are very similar ages. We are, in fact, the same age.
Really?
Yeah.
He wears it a lot better than I do.
You're the old sod. I don't think so.
Lies. Really?
Yeah. Ian's older than us.
No way.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh, what a paper round, mate.
He was... he used the drugs when he was younger.
Like, I thought I had a big paper. I've looked like this since I was like 13.
It's amazing how much older trim beard and full head of hair makes you look.
Yeah, well, your hair at least starts at the front of your head, whereas mine starts halfway back.
Well, he trims his.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but no, I was talking about head hair.
Yeah.
Well, this is awkward.
This is weird. Put it back on in. Anyway, anyone who's kind of been, I guess, in the last 5 or 6 years have kind of joined the detailing world community, etc., will have kind of seen
All
Alan.
those are trademarks, I think, now.
Crap, there they
I'm
are.
glad you didn't say
Yes.
mafia as well.
Detailing environment. Those will have seen Alan kind of already at his, not at his peak, obviously, because that's yet to come, but already kind of existent. I know. But no, what's this on my nose? Oh, you.
Welling up a little bit over here.
But actually, you started back to basics. You had to make serious sacrifices, and you had all sorts of bad luck. And so I thought the folks would like to hear the very early stages of AMDetails and
That sounds
the
like,
kind of the setbacks.
let's hear your depressing story.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We've started with introducing to Alan. How were you in hospital and messed up? And you've broke so many laws to come and film this film.
It's
Film?
film.
Hello,
Well,
cameras.
you are being filmed,
Yeah,
but
film this and record this podcast, and now you want to hear about the depressing story of how I started my company.
Chopping
it's like a movie, because obviously it ends well. We all know what the ending is, but it was also kind of, it's the human
Well, to be
element
fair, there's
to
a few
it.
hours left.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a nutshell, I have Crohn's disease. You can't do everything at full capacity at the time when I was in the Air Force. I do believe now legislation's changed and there's amazing now groups available to support people in the Air Force who are in the same scenario as me. A friend of mine is actually now heading up that group of people. But so Crohn's disease, I got the choice, be in the Air Force and have limited abilities. So you could still be promoted, but you have a desk job. You won't be allowed to go outside base areas. Everything you join the Air Force for, basically, you can't do.
Yeah.
Or you can be medically discharged, which is a random conversation to have over a table, much like what we're doing, in a room that an answer must happen before you leave. It wasn't like, can I go think about this? It was like red pill, blue pill. You choose.
Yeah.
So I medically discharged out of the Air Force. Had to choose, take the stuff I've learned in the Air Force and go offshore, or take the hobby I've got making stuff shiny on the driveway that I was doing for friends, family, and we lived across from a golf course, so I had a lot of travelling trade.
What did you do in the Air Force?
I was gas turbine engineer to trade, but eventually, I like to say, I'm sure everyone says it, I got out at the best time. Like when I was in, the Air Force was at its best. As in, I was gas turbine originally, then you cross-traded into what they called a heavy. So you learn everything, as long as it didn't have an electrical box attached to it, you could fix it. So very happily, because I like learning, I went and did it all. So I went back to Mara many times and got all the many Q courses. So that if there wasn't anything attached to Tornado GR4 or F3, there's a good chance I could fix it if it didn't have an electrical box. But my favourite part, of course, being gas turbine engineer, was changing engines, then basically doing what you would probably see as like an F1 engine test, but I do it with a jet strapped to the floor on something called a detuner.
And the F3 was the last and the fastest.
F3
recon.
was the digital one, which was lots of fun. So we had a deck use. So basically, you throttle. The pilot went, I want 100%. And the jet went, nah, depending at the altitude you're at and
It's
depending
like a
on what's
Tiptronic
going
gearbox.
on. 100%. You all complain about it now, right? This aircraft's had this long enough. It would go, you can kind of have this. Well, on the ground, we had to turn around and say, no. When I say 100, I want 100.
I want to blow the bloody
Because
doors
I
off.
then need to get it to 100 so then I can knock it back to a working line limiter, which was the safety zone. Yeah. So at times on the ground, the reheat we were generating is an F3 at its peak. Yeah. Kind of like people doing rolling road, right? Take it to when it leans out too much, then find the safety net.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do for a job, and it was good fun.
That is pretty cool. So
anyway, the story.
Forward.
So I get out. I was already doing this as a hobby on the side, like we all start doing. High five to all you guys. On a driveway with a gazebo out the back of a Fiesta.
Nice. Oh, which generation of Fiesta?
See, I knew you were going to ask me that question.
Well, what number plate was it?
P.
Round,
red,
shape.
rounded, bubbly kind of shape.
Yeah,
just after the
yeah.
squarey Fiesta.
I had the squarey Fiesta.
I crashed the squarey Fiesta.
Only just had 5 gears.
You had the first.
I had mine was an M.
Oh no, you had you had the same gen as me then.
With the 1.3.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you
randomly, I think the reg is popping in my head. P830RRS.
M927XRG.
Oh God knows. Anyway,
I can't remember mine. It was.
Well, it's upside down as well, isn't it? Because that's how you left it in the
wasn't
field.
in a great position when I left it.
It was an M reg, now it's a W reg.
Well, the can I say? I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
Mine was a diesel one. The 1.8.
Sorry, you can say that. It's fine.
It's a 1.6
the
diesel.
1.8 straight diesel.
Oh, non-turbo.
Non-turbo.
God.
I think one of the first to have 5 gears. I think before that it was a 4 gear.
Yeah, mine
had 5 gears. I had a 1.4 gear then.
Oh, so maybe I'm a generation behind.
Well, mine was
I know
a
my
four-
cousin
mine was
Paul that
fours.
had one that looked like it had 4 gears.
I don't know about diesels, to be fair.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and it may or may not have ran on stuff that wasn't diesel.
Chip hat.
And other various things that may or may not have been able to be supplied due to the job I was currently in.
Yes.
Add some lubricant, pop it in there. Job's a good one.
What are we talking about now?
Exactly. So
I thought you meant the juice of dead crush people, but yeah, okay.
Okay. So, I was doing everything basically like every other detail in the story starts from.
Yep.
Then I worked from a shed at the bottom of the air strip
Which was still quicker than the
that
diesel.
didn't have a concrete floor.
Okay.
It had chuckies, or you would maybe call it like a stone pebble driveway.
Yeah.
We call them chuckies in Scotland. So 2/3 of it were that. And then the back bit was what I can only describe as what like these gymnasts do, flip into like these big pits of foam. But mine was like chunks of the tar road that was about 2 miles down the way. So you could walk on it, but it was a bit unstable. But it was just where they dumped the tar from doing the leftover of that job.
Yeah.
That was my original shed on Shempston Farm. So I detailed out of there. Then I got a unit in town. And then we went for it full blown at start AMDetails.
And were you AMDetails when you were out of tune? You called Alan Special Spongy Washy?
No,
something?
I've always been AMDetails. And we kept it really simple. Alan Medcraf's doing your details.
Yeah.
Chemically wise, which I think is the story you're alluding to, I originally started it with just the money I had on the side from doing the Air Force stuff. And we sold the chemicals only because I tried selling Poor Boys, I tried selling Maguire's. You know, you pick up the phone and to make the stereotypical, right there, Paul, I'm wanting to sell you a polish. And some geezer down in Essex giving it, all right, mate, yeah, what? We only really supplied to like the big chains. Who are you? What's going on? Yeah. Have you got $10 million? Was what I heard. It probably wasn't that much. So I wasn't making any profit margin because I was buying it from many people down the chain. You know, I was probably, I can't remember who I was buying it from back in the day, but anyway, I wasn't making much money at that. And then I bumped into a guy. I was like, I can make you stuff. Typical Scottish, all right. And we
have
brought
an RV. It's like to go to a Scottish.
I know who you're talking about.
He's
the sort of guy who would.
And he had a little friend that was a little bit dodgy going around with him. Yeah, and random like baths just full of acid.
Get your kidney like that though.
It's funny because it's believable when you know who we're talking about. Yeah.
So anyway, we developed the range from there in essence, but it was only ever for our customers to sell to them the stuff that we were using because, like everyone else says, the customer comes in, oh, how do I maintain this? And you had Polish Bliss that were doing walk-in shop at the time, but they are, now when I say this, they're about an hour and a half away from us. It is a rubbish drive, hour and a half away.
Really? Around you, the roads are rather nice.
Yeah, but it wasn't the best. So for me to set up, I think pretty much I was the most northern at the time. Mm-hmm. Walk in, I can sell you car care place. And I was never meant to be that. But just it happened by accident. Yeah. So we were making it stored all at home, doing all the stuff. And we had this coal shed, that's where you're going. The coal shed at the side of the house, where I used to go and put everything in there. And I remember I'd spent roughly about £1,000 and waited many, many months for these magical things to arrive from China. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, the good old lamb's wool mitts. Because I was like, why am I going to buy them from UK people and Maguire's and all that when I don't make any money? I'll just find a magic China man and make this happen. I don't even think Alibaba was about back then, so don't ask me how I managed to do it. But I found a Chinese manny that would sell me mitts, and I spent £1,000 with them.
Were they kind of Labrador?
And they arrived.
Did they still have collars attached?
Just. And then, as you can imagine, I lived out in the country and we woke up one morning and thought, what's happened to all my mitts? And just like,
I wake up every morning wondering what's happened to my mitts.
All gone, as mice had just had their way with.
And how long did it take the mice to devour?
And the dogs, and just everyone was having their way with my mitts. You laugh. There was a guy in the Air Force when he was testing out the mitts, because I used to take everything in the Air Force. If you ever ask anyone else, trust me, you know exactly where this is going.
Taking it for a ride.
Yeah, that's it. I'd come in to do a shift. And I would put these multicolored bottles on the desk saying, smell these, take them, we'll have a shot, because it was always people using them. What's the best? And then I put a couple of mitts in and says, go away and home and use these. And one guy went, what are you charging for this? And I was like, I'll probably charge about £10 or £12. And he went, if I'm doing what I'm doing with it, I'll pay 30 quid. You could definitely sell it in that market for 30 quid. Put in a, certain industry tax on top of it.
Yes, indeed.
Adult? Is that what we're going to...
Are we talking like...
I thought detailing.
Velcro welly style?
I thought it was a detailing premium, like when you've got an RS Audi, everything just costs 4 times as much. Or were you being dodgy about it?
No, he was probably like the 12 years ago OnlyFans sort of thing he was wanting to do with it.
Oh, okie dokie.
VHS or something maybe.
I've just had 3 Red Bulls in close succession, so the risk is that I just laugh. I could laugh at just a plain wall at the moment, so that I'm going to make sure I don't laugh at inappropriate moments.
So yeah, started it in a house on a driveway, and mice eat the majority of my stock. So then moved from another house and I sold my Celica SD205 for many, many pennies. That was a big choice.
That must have hurt, because I know also Craig Hall, it had an I think.
No way. We were probably both on like SD205.gt3e.com or whatever it was.
I'm pretty damn sure he did, because he's now gone Mustangs and he's sold an Outback, so he's dead to me. But
yeah, I sold that, then bought a sofa. Yeah. So me and Sarah could move into a new house sofa and spent all the rest of the money on stock, and I spent some money on renovating that unit to make a customer containment area. which was basically
A holding pen.
it was basically a big plasterboard bits for people were just walking in, as you know, you
Most
put
of the money went
headphones
on
in.
those taser sticks. You get.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it.
Dance, baby.
Your machine, and at that point, I'd maybe have 3-4 cars in the unit. It's the same unit everyone knows now, but there was no partition, so you could fit a lot more cars in. And people would just come in and start looking at them, sitting on them, touching them, and you wouldn't be aware because you're in the one in the far corner with your headphones on. So I was like, this can't happen. So I built a customer pen with a sofa and a fish tank, and that's where the fish tank comes
fish
from.
tank,
by the way.
I'm
the
very
fish
jealous
tank
of your
has
fish
grown over time from the customer containment area.
If it was me, I would just set up a couple.
By the way, no one ever knows it was called that. That's the first time I've said that publicly.
It's brilliant.
It was called the lobby before, or officially.
Reception.
Customer containment area. Good times.
Well, I think we're going to have to take a very little break soon, and we'll be back with you very shortly.
Hello, it's that time of year again when we're coming up to another magazine release. Issue 14 is going to be out in December. You can buy that for yourself with a pre-order now on the website at prodetailermagazine.com, where you can also buy a subscription either for yourself or somebody else. Give it a look now at prodetailermagazine.com.
And we're back. We are on our last podcast of the season, but we are joined gracefully by Alan of AMDetails, and we have been chit-chatting about Alan and about the birth of AMDetails. But what I want to do now is sort of broaden that spectrum, and as way of a segue into that, Alan, your business has been very much what I'd describe as community-led. So you're in terms of what products that you bought out, in terms of the kind of direction in which the business went, I always felt was much more of a two-way process than normally. You know, a lot of companies say, "Oh, we're based on what our consumers want, what our customers want," but it seemed to be lip service. You genuinely were like, "So guys, what do you want me to do next?" sort of thing. And I always asked for a handstand, but you always then just brought out a nice product.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah,
I tried.
I did see the videos.
It was a booming, but no, you are right. I think that just came from the fact that I very much put myself in the public or in the heart of the community, didn't I, really?
Yeah, exactly. And the films, I think with the video, obviously you're known for your YouTube channel, but because they can see you and kind of touch you, I mean, it results in sort of greasy marks on the laptop.
That would happen at Waxstock. Like, I had to be regularly washed.
Yeah, that is true, actually. You and Jim White have these sort of these massive following, and I interviewed Jim, and most of what I was doing was crowd control, stopping them from just sort of...
It's insane. So Eon's wife actually said, "Why do you need 4 days to go to Waxstock?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And it was anyway, we could go on the tangent of Waxstock later, but
to get all the Vaseline off of the...
It is. It's literally just to be permanently washing me, then he needs 3 days to get over it.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I mean, even you take a permanent mark around for breast signing, don't you? It's a thing.
I'll sign anything.
Thanks for that, by the way.
No worries, mate. Did you get it tattooed?
Yeah.
One initial per nipple. It was a good look. So on the theme of community, sorry, I'm now on my fourth Red Bull, so no, God knows what can happen. On the theme of community, we've both been in this kind of trade. All three of us been in this trade long enough to...
Yes, we have. End of discussion. Done it long enough. Let's go home.
Let's just end everything now.
It's fine.
That's it.
To see, should we say, wider trends. So the people who might have come in the last 5 years get kind of that snapshot of it. But when you've been in kind of 10 years plus, you see the patterns. Now, in the early days of detailing, you were regaling us with, up in your neck of the woods, or Scotland, how Gordon Muir, who is...
Legend.
Granddaddy of detailing, and a lovely man, had a lovely E500 as well last time I saw him. That's a grown-up Merc, Ian. That's like never mind. What was it? He was doing like Saturday afternoon 50 quid specials.
So cool. So I remember, like back in the day, all we had really was like online AutoGeek. In fact, I imported a lot of stuff in from AutoGeek. My porter cable was from AutoGeek. And then when I went out to America, this is a sideline, sorry, I got to meet Mrs. AutoGeek. No, I'd already met Mike, I got to meet Ms. AutoGeek. She sat next to me in a podcast, and I was starstruck quite a lot. And I was just
Did you behave yourself?
"Hello, Megan." Hello. She was like, "Who are you?"
Stop touching
but
my
at
knee.
the same time, she was like, "Your story's so cool. Let's do stuff." So who knows what happens in the future? But it was just super cool to meet AutoGeek just on the sideline there. But what we were talking about, of course, was Yeah, back in the day. I think it's just because I was remote and out the way that I had to adopt to video to get to see all you guys because I wasn't going to travel. And the internet, the old dial-up stuff. Alan's going to upload a 720 by 720 image to Detailing World 3 hours later. With the remember doing the little.
to use the landline.
I remember doing it. So I used to remember the whole photo bucket.
Yep.
And then you would get all your links, and then I would put them in a notepad, and then I would do find and replace just to cut the corner. And anytime I'd say like find and replace HTTP with :img : HT. So it would put the image tag, and then at the end like the .jpeg : /.img. You'd make all the edits and upload them to Detailing World. But yeah, I remember the community times in Detailing World. We were all chat. Have I said that enough that we can get sued yet?
What?
Are we okay?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Excellent.
We
nothing
go
dangerous
under
there.
assumed names.
Oh,
my real
perfect.
name's Deborah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, it is on
but no,
weekends,
Detailing
yeah.
World was definitely where it all started, chatting to people on there, doing all that stuff. And then I remember, it was so cool in Scotland, you had Gordon, and people would travel from, I'm sure they travel from all over the world for this crazy day he used to do with this other guy, I couldn't remember his name. Legend. I'm pretty sure he's a professor now. I still follow him. He's got wife, kids, and whatever. He never.
When you say
What's his name?
Not Dave.
Yes.
Dave KG.
Dave KG.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm professor. Now I remember
so
Yeah.
glad.
He was on our stand signing his book that we were
Ian,
selling with
I'm
Dom.
so glad you remembered that and we've recorded it on the podcast. For Dave, if you're watching this, literally, I'm sorry, mate. We spent about
No. We
15
totally remembered. It's fine.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
remembered totally. Sorry,
Well,
mate.
we knew. No, my issue was joining the dot because you were saying there was this bloke, and I know of Dave KG. I met at the chat.
Of course, but I was trying my terrible way of
He's a
describing
science
stuff.
teacher, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
And he's now a professor and he's doing all the jazz, honestly. But what
I
I
was
loved was he
wondering
took
about the
that
elbow patches.
professor writing thesis style
I used to.
and created these incredible posts on
I
Detailing World.
remember Dave KG's write-up on how to use a rotary and the
Dude.
Zenith.
And
Using
what-
that
the Zenith method
word.
and all. Remember
Love
all
it.
this? And then him and Gordon would then demonstrate it. And then you would go to Gordon's, these huge events on a Saturday or Sunday, and pizza would just turn up 50 quid a head. And there was maybe 15, 20, 30 guys, it seemed like, in this shed. And then, like, within 2 weeks, 50% of them were like, I'm going to become a detailer. And it was just this lovely, like, I think it was brilliant. Some people hate it. I thought it was amazing that, I guess, from a trainer's
I like the
perspective,
other,
I love it.
50% were like, fuck this.
Well, yeah, the other 50%. I'm going to go and pay the other 50%
I
to do
wish
it.
I'd taken the blue pill.
That's it, right? So I loved that back then, and that's the industry I came into.
Yeah.
If you like I was a hobbyist, and I would sit going, "Oh, I can't wait to go on a, one day I'll maybe pay to go over and see Gordon Muir." And for whatever reason, I never did. I think the 50 quid classes stopped around about the time, but I will happily thank him because I phoned him a few times when I was stuck, and he would happily help me out.
Oh, he's a lovely, lovely man. And what was interesting with those is that people were digging in saying, oh, now you get all these professional detailers after they've just done a course like that. But actually nowadays, if you've trained under Gordon Muir, it's like doing the Kelly Harris Master Detailer
Dude,
course. It's
you
a
know what I
serious
mean?
credit.
Like, yeah, he's definitely a godfather in the
You're a car pro professional now.
godfather in the trade.
Running the professional side
Yeah.
of the car pro.
Yeah.
It's like we were saying before, it's done the rings around there, but I reckon he's pretty much been Avi's right hand development, or definitely a big key player in the development of that brand.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Knows it inside
Well,
out.
he was distributor at one point when,
Like I say, it hopped around, right?
2011.
Yeah.
He had it, then Craig had it, and it
Yeah.
kind of came back. I
Yeah.
think Gordon managed the network. I don't know.
Well, now he manages all the professional side of things, and because
Amazing.
we would talk to Andrew at Slims, and he was like, "Right, we do the retail, the consumer stuff, and Gordon deals with the pro side."
Perfect.
Which is it's kind of taken over a bit. And this is the thing with community. So we started with AutoGeek, we started with Detailing World, which incidentally Detailing World's just been sold. And I
Under new
talked
ownership.
to
We're allowed
John.
to talk about that now?
Yeah. Well, I talked to John today at the NEC, and I was like, dude, that
Hey, John.
explains. Hey, John, we're trying to get John on the podcast too. We was just
You need to make this mobile. Like you put,
We are, but we
I
always
will
go
high
somewhere the
five you
sound
for
is
the
good.
effort
Thing
you
is,
made
though, we
in
tried
getting
to
me
load this
yeah.
into an ice cream van once, and we just got chased away.
And yes, it's also acoustics and setting up and stuff like that. And also from the COVID, we're about 1.25 meters away from each other, which means that you can still get the COVID, but no syphilis.
No, but we're in England now. Like you don't care about it.
Oh, we care. Well, you
Well,
need to be seen to be
I literally
caring.
got off the plane and people just sneezed and coughed on me.
Yeah, I know.
They just went, "Welcome to
London.
England."
That's good value.
Yeah.
So really what we're talking about is the kind of community and how it's developed. So originally we had DW and stuff like that. So yeah, hang on, just to follow up on the DW. That's been sold. So Bill and John aren't the owners anymore. They're still kind of sort of involved somehow, but they've created the detailing space, which is what the DW Instagram account has changed to.
Well, the YouTube channel as well, or has that been consumed in the partnership?
I don't know what the deal was.
That's going to have some residual income.
That certainly is.
So they still sponsor Wax.
Done up very well.
All these questions we need to ask.
Yeah,
What's the
exactly.
name of the guys that bought it?
I don't know. So it's called
Starts with S.
vertical scope.
Am I the only one sat here going, do we know the figure? How do you put a figure on that?
Well, I did. John whipped out a laptop at issue 2, so 2015, 2016.
Honestly,
and
the
showed
traffic's
me,
insane.
Yeah,
because
he
I've
showed
had
me the
conversations,
schematics.
which we won't talk about, where he has told me the traffic, and I'm just like, poo-wee.
It's the historical guides. It's the
Honestly,
Dave KG guides.
you would
Yeah.
not believe it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And all that content's been created over the years by many, many different people. It's a treasure trove.
If you've never been to it, please
Yeah, go and sign up so you can use
sign
the
up to
search
Detailing
feature.
World.
If you register, you can search.
remember how many posts, like the old YouTube day when someone go, "How do you use a rotary?" And the response would be, "At search rotary polisher." Click this link; it will auto search for you.
The thing is, though, if you go on, you know the Wayback Web Engine, where you go back and look at sites. So if you go on Detailing World and you look back, it looks exactly the same.
Yeah, they haven't
It
changed
just
it.
doesn't change.
No.
It's kind of comforting in a way.
I was a supporter of that for whenever I was doing write-ups, I was always being a supporter. Half of me to get the supporter right, like you do your little write-up and
Yeah,
it
get the
give you
garage.
great SEO backlink into your website. The other half was just to pave back,
Yeah.
just to say thanks.
Yeah, it was kind of patron before patron.
Yeah,
in
here
a
you
way.
go.
You're the guy who pays for Wikipedia, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Just
No,
this once.
I don't even know what that is. So community.
But community, yeah. And so anyway, the detailing space is still Bill and John, and then Vertical Scope, I think, is a company that's taken over, and they're a professional forum company. So I think they run many, many forums from a kind of central hub to do so
that's
efficiently.
why it's been bought, yeah.
And they do.
But we stalked the guy there, didn't we?
Yeah, so he did an opening post on DW, and he'd been a member apparently for a very long time, and he's called the
2005.
DW chief boss, head honcho, or I can't remember what it was, so something along that
I
line.
used to love some of the administrators and what do you moderators usernames? Oh, I remember those.
Well, they used to have, there was the odd falling out and
So
stuff
good.
in the past.
Oh,
which
let's
was,
not go there.
No, hilarious though. And so that's now all being run there from this company. So, and they've said there can be software updates and improvements and developments and stuff like that.
What is it? BB dot. Oh, what's the software? It's like BB dot something. Like everyone once thought, I'm going to start a forum. We've all been there, haven't we?
The old school one, yeah. But now, this is new. This is so they. I think they're trying to basically create a platform that uniform with all the other forums that they run, so that it can be run more efficiently as well. I'm purely speculating here, because obviously I haven't hacked in to find out exactly where the IP addresses and the servers are based, and then identified all the other forums on the same servers, because that'd be weird.
You got to do that after you've hacked the Pentagon, so you can use their capacity. To
Oh
do
no,
that.
you don't want to do that. It's boring. So that's a big bit of news.
This is a detailing podcast.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And you're just telling me to, capital crime, boom. But it was about community. So DW is still around. It's got new owners and stuff like that. So we're going to see some interesting things there. We've got some interesting things from a community point of view. I mean, we feel that we tie things together with the mag slightly with our, with the social feeds and bits and bobs. And then we've also got things like the trade associations, PVD and the IDA, both of which we're very closely involved with, because you're
Yes.
the president of the IDA. And
No.
was it just expired?
No. Past 2 years. Well, no, officially. The year pre-COVID, I was vice president of the global IDA. So the whole IDA.
Right. The whole idea.
Yes. So you have the whole IDA as a presence, the umbrella.
Yeah.
And then countries, when they reach a certain level or apply, can have chapters so that you can tweak things to local languages, local how we do things, yada, 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 yada. So of the global, I was vice president before COVID. Then COVID hit, and myself and DJ and the whole IDA team, amazing volunteers, kind of went into COVID panic mode. What can we do to support? So DJ never really got to deliver on his goals, because the goal of the president is, this year I want to tackle this, and then hopefully his board backs him, and then it can all happen. So we restructured everything. So then I became president-elect, which is, you are the guy to next be the president and support DJ in doing his goals. It just gives you more executive. It's corporate. And there are two things below that, which is then the vice president of operators, going on a tangent here, sorry, which every quarter they then try and get a meeting with all the operators to say, what can we do for you? And then you have vice president of suppliers, who obviously has to be a supplier, and they have to do the same. They have to go, suppliers, what can we do for you as an industry? And then they take it to me and DJ, and we just go, nah, jokes. And then we try and drive that forward. So next year, as in January,
Then you'll be
weirdly, I'm about to say this, I will be the president of the entire IDA.
Step up.
Thanks, mate.
Have you got a guy following you around with a
Still,
briefcase?
honestly, mate,
Where's the gold chain? I
it
love the
blows
gold
my
chain.
mind. I'm the first European. I'm the first European executive as well.
Yeah. Well, non-American.
It got it got accelerated. Originally my goal was to get a few more Europeans on, fight my corner. Jokes, but it got accelerated by DJ, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. No. Well, it was a hell of an achievement. So yeah.
Do you have a president's position available in PVD? I might as well just go all hog this year, right?
Nah, just me.
Have you thought of what your target is going to be yet?
International growth. So I've always been a big fan. So some people have been, for example, is it going to be difficult for you to be the president this year? Mm-hmm. Not from like a medical point of view or whatever, like just with what you want to do and what's going on. I was like, not like becoming the president. Do you think you'll find it more difficult than what you're currently doing?
Yeah.
Weirdly not, because I'm already a member of the chapter development committee. So I'm already very much about growing, detailing communities and pulling them together. It all come from when I got blessed enough to go to China, and I trained 27 guys in doing this stuff and helped them get their certifications in the IDA, and only very few of them spoke English. And the guy who was doing the English translations was a political person with no industry lingo. Mm-hmm. Like we know ourselves, we probably use different lingo than France and whatever else.
Yeah.
So you can imagine. So for a very quick one for the podcast, one of the gentleman's translations back from me when I was asking an exam question was something along the lines of the bug's feces has melted the varnish of the... And what was the word he used for bonnet? Honestly, it was fantastic.
Google Translate.
And as many of these podcasters or listeners can probably guess, it was bug etching on the front of the car. But the actual...
It was a literal translation.
Oh, you wouldn't have... And I was sitting going like, no more speaking. Let's not do this. It's hilarious. And all I was doing was pointing at the wheels, and then they would just pick up a chemical and then just clean wheels, and we would just do the comical thing, as you can imagine, if you all had your defenders on in English, is nod and thumbs up and no, I do this. And I spent 3 days just talking like that with detailers, and it blew my mind. Like I had that warm, fuzzy feeling. I was like, look at what we're achieving here. Mm-hmm. And then again, randomly on the way back from KLM, because it was that time where Hong Kong was having the riots.
Yes.
So I couldn't take my normal diversion back.
You.
Yeah. No. And COVID. No.
About to say, that warm, fuzzy feeling. I thought it was bird flu.
So I had to come back via Beijing. So it was a flight I wasn't meant to take. So it was some like crazy late night flight. And I wasn't allowed my connection because it was like another hauler company or whatever happened. So I ended up getting kicked out the airport for a bit. So I kind of sneaked back into the area you're allowed to go at like arrivals and locked myself in a disabled toilet. So then when I got to the
procedure,
when I was allowed to check in, I have like one of these universal keys. I just, because I'm disabled. So I locked the thing and slept in there. Then when I went to the front desk for KLM, I was checking in and she was like, I don't mean to sound rude, sir, but you seem kind of rough. Have you been stuck in this riots? And I was like, no. I slept in the disabled toilet last night because of all this. And she was like, so on the computer, she's like, Mr. Medcraf, I can see you fly regular. Complimentary upgrade. And I was like, holy smokes, I'm there in business, getting leathered on this flight back. I've had hardly any sleep disabled toilet. And the ladies are looking at me going, who the hell is this guy? Everyone else is either, to be stereotypical, suited and booted or carrying some serious bling.
Yeah.
You look like a scruffy guy in a Rupes jacket that's been sleeping in a disabled bathroom toilet. Just like...
He must be a...
Yeah, this guy must be loaded and
you have
gives
to be
zero. Yeah, his respect on life is zero. So she asked me, what have you been doing? And I says, I've been naively, because I wasn't really sure how to explain what I was doing at the time. I said, I've just been training for the IDA in China. And she was like, wow, you're a British guy. And she goes, so what is this IDA? And you're like, it's that question. And you go, blah. Mm-hmm. So drunken, half asleep Alan said, oh God, what did I say? That's right. That's not good in the podcast. That's right. I said...
It's always good when you can't remember.
I said, and this is going to be even more hilarious now, it starts the conversation for the international language that is detailing.
That was...
How, messed up is that? There must have been something in that bleach.
And now you're married.
Yeah. But in saying that, the reason I said that was, for example, Mark Leddy, another gentleman in the industry, we were aware of each other online. We maybe talked online. We would probably never have had a reason to go and see each other.
Oh, I don't know. They're great Tinder profiles.
Or a reason to collaborate together until the day he phoned me, went, what's the crack with this idea? And we got talking and went, wow, we actually have a lot in common. Let's do a training session together. It started a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And PVD is the same.
Yeah.
All these platforms just start the cheesy word of community and talking to each other. I don't care what all the other nuts and bolts bolted on us. I don't care if you're going to get me cheaper insurance. I don't care if you're going to get me discount. I can probably get that by phoning up or just being a nice guy. But meeting with people that are like-minded or in the same bit, or if you do think you are the Don and the up-and-comers are coming in, be a bit nicer in conveying your tips to them and helping them, because they are you when you wanted to go on a Gordon Muir course and your mice were eating all your fluffy mitts.
It is. We see a cycle.
It's always one of the top 3 rules on any of the Facebook groups, and that is be nice, don't be a dick.
Never gets moderated though, right? There's always still a schlong floating about.
Well,
A
moderating
wobbly
those groups is
sausage,
fun.
as the little man said.
Yeah, speaking as a former moderator on the various things like that.
Speaking as a
it's
wobbly
hard work. Speaking as a wobbly sausage. So yeah, and that's kind of it's about building that community. And I think we've seen the waves. I sense that there's now more openness towards the trade associations, and more people understand what it's about. And I think that there's a kind of resurgence. Facebook has obviously brought people together. It's created its own challenges, but I think it's overall been a net benefactor.
I think potentially it's become a problem for trade associations as well, if you like, because people can get community from these platforms that connect people together. And it's kind of going, why do I need? But I think what someone answered it very wisely the other day was, weirdly enough, it wasn't Facebook, I think it was LinkedIn, I read it, where, and I don't mean anything bad by this because I give advice in Facebook groups, but the people you want to make your mentors are generally too successful or busy to be spending time to respond to your, and this is terrible English, I'm sorry guys, your basic questions that you're asking in basic filled overpopulated Facebook groups.
Yeah.
You're going to find those people who dedicate their time to going to specific events that are generally only run by trade associations. And then when they're there, you can ask that same question, and instead of getting, and I know it sounds terrible, a Facebook group standard response, you will be connected to the people that potentially may be better to be your peers. But I'm not trying to downgrade what's available in those groups. I'm just meaning the people you're idolizing, the people you see. For example, when people did, and I'm on my YouTube channel, the only way they could connect to me was in the YouTube comments of the video. They would never get the same in Facebook. They would never get the same in Instagram, because that's where I dedicated my time. The only other place they would see me would be at ID or PVD events or Waxstock.
And it is, but again, the closed private groups on both PVD, IDA, you've got kind of more, not moderated response, but you've got peer reviews. So if somebody's asking for a piece of advice, you'll get 5 or 6 people saying how to do it. And then you can, and hopefully they predominantly sort of correlate, or it's just different ways of doing the same thing. And there's kind of, there's vetting on there, whereas on the bigger groups, you get some very daft.
But it shows in your feed more, I find. For example, if you're in a PVD Facebook group and you engage, and the algorithm goes, you like hanging out in here. Seems like you ask a lot in here. I'm going to make that the top of your feed. So then more interesting subjects come up. Whereas if you're just scrolling through the generic stuff and not engaging or commenting, it's not getting shown as much. But if you're not engaging at all, that's going to show in your feed, because Facebook's going to turn around and say, this is public, it's kind of in your interest group, and I'm going to shove this in your face till you engage with it. And it's just going to keep trying to shove stuff in your face. But if you engage with the stuff that you were genuinely interested in. What I'm trying to say there is, if you're in PVD or whatever and you see us, even if you agree with the person, just give it a like, give it a comment, because it'll then show that type of stuff to you in the future, which you then may want to engage with.
And it also may well make the day of the person who's made that comment if they see support from somebody else.
People slate social media, and I get people having a break from it, but I think it's because they're in that bit where they've had enough with it, but they're not engaging. So if you don't engage, the platform doesn't know what you want from it.
If you don't engage, and also engage on the correct terms, as in actually try to be positive and don't be a dick, because there are a lot of people who say, I don't want to be a dick, and then they're just a dick. It's like people who say, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, and then they bring the old tooter out. It's difficult.
Have I popped the tooter out yet? Have I tooted on this yet?
I'm just thinking that's why my feed is full of obscure Simpson references, because that's all the pages I follow.
Fact though, right? Like 100%. Like you engage with detail and stuff, you're in and around it, but potentially someone said it to me the other day that through COVID we've become sign numb.
Yes.
Because there's so many signs about COVID and whatever, we now don't see them. And it has to be something completely obscure or completely ridiculous and it's the exact same thing, as in that's how all these social media platforms work. So I'm trying to give people a tip. If you want to get good stuff, engage with good stuff on your social, and then that's the only way these algorithms are learning. They'll stop showing you stuff you don't want to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Well, we are at that time of the podcast where we
Crazy.
have...
You need to extend the length or have like an after-hour Patreon session.
I've been told that a lot.
Wait. No.
We are down to the 10 quick
I'm
fire
quite
questions,
nervous about this.
which are notoriously not quick fire, but we try to make them as quick fire as possible.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with number one. What is your current motor vehicle?
A Ford Transit Custom Crew Cab L2 Limited.
Oh,
With all the buttons on the inside ticked, but none on the outside, so I don't look like a prick.
I'm jealous of that. That is...
I'm
I like
talking,
that stuff.
I have all of the 240 volts, I have all of the screens, all of the heat, many of them. Honest, Sarah drove it to Yorkshire and went, did I need to drive? The van did it. Auto park.
Does it have heated steering wheels yet?
No, because it's not an option you can tick.
I know,
Which is annoying because you can do it on the Mondeo and the Focus and everything else. And
You
the
think it'd be a
Island.
thing that transit drivers want?
100%. The custom, the reason I love it is it took everything from the top whack, whatever they used to get called, Titanium X, Mondeo, and gave you it in a van. Why are they not giving me a heated freaking steering wheel?
Well, you can also get cooled steering wheels now in Mercedes,
dear
which is fun. I don't like any of that titty-tat. I get upset with having even parking sensors beeping away at me, telling me what to do. If I want to ram that...
It's because they do it when you're halfway down.
And you know what, Ian? You know what, Ian? And looking at the standard and immaculate condition of his Subaru, he doesn't need bleep bleeps, does he?
Well, no, there is that. And
You're
in fact,
one of them.
I'll be taking you home in a different Subaru because the race car I've got an engine warning light now.
He needs to ride it harder. It's warning because it's going, you treat me too nice.
I rode it very
Because
hard.
I'm race
I made
car.
it from the NEC to Swallowfield in 1 hour and 16 minutes on a Friday afternoon. It got a
Weshing too.
proper wallowing. It was, sitting at 8,000 RPM.
But it's done more miles in the last 7 days than it has in the last probably 15 years.
Oh,
Yes.
and to throw into question one,
Yes,
the
over
other
1,000.
car is a Hyundai Tucson 1.5 petrol turbo
Tucson.
thing. It's
I
rapid, man.
think it's a Tucson, you know.
Tucson,
Because it's
Tucson.
named after Tucson in America.
Is it?
Yeah.
And we were
It's like
looking at,
Subaru. We
we're
had
meant
the
to
B9
renew it
Tribeca and all.
in...
Didn't I tell you that the other day?
No, I knew that all along.
I said this to someone else, and they were like,
You said
Okay,
that.
cool.
realise that.
Yeah.
We're meant to renew it in January, but we like it so much, extended it another 6 months. So let's see what pick next. Because there's too much nice.
Not
Anyway,
tempted
we
to
need to
go
go.
electric.
We need to go to question 2 because there's a lot of hybrid stuff falling at my price bracket, which I fancy playing with. But then once you start looking at hybrid money and you're paying for hybrid toys, you start then coming into like R-Line, Volkswagen family carriers, and you're into that like, whoa.
Yeah, but they're going to have auto wipers, auto lights. It's going to
look,
have
mate.
sat nav. I don't want it.
Come
I
on
just
now.
want something with a transfer box.
We had a Polestar in today. Very nice.
We overtook one on the motorway. First time I've seen one in person. I really want one. I don't care if people say it's a Volvo. I think they're cool.
They are
They're
awesome.
mighty quick. I mean, obviously
So
we overtook
cool.
it because Subaru, but they are
I
bloody
think they have
quick.
like an American kind of chunkiness to them, whereas
Well,
the
I
Tesla
think
doesn't. The
I think
Tesla's
it's
that
like-
sleekness.
I think that's the shape that Elon Musk was originally trying to go for with the Tesla truck and then
think so.
failed.
Yeah, because it just looks like. I know it's not a muscle car, but when you're behind it, I just feel it has more presence on the road than a Tesla. But I do love Tesla. But I think when you see a Polestar, if I was just to look at a car and not care what it is, I'd go, that looks more me.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do like modern Volvos.
Says the
In
guy
look.
driving a van in a Tucson. So, see, I said it right this time for him.
Boom. So, question 2. The first car you ever detailed for money. Could be 20p as a child. Or all sexual
Okay,
favours.
so the first car I ever detailed for money, I think
Sexual favours.
it's either, because I don't know which way around I got it.
He's
It's
going to say
either-
it's his dad's Metro.
No. It's either going to be a Porsche 944.
Ooh.
Yeah, which was.
Was that for money
And
or
I'm going to
drugs?
sound posh as hell when I say this. It was the gardener's car, but I don't have a gardener. We were moving from one rental property to the other, and I couldn't be bothered doing all the weeding that you need so you get your deposit back. And it was
Right.
cheaper to pay a gardener and get my big deposit back than it was to just suck it up and get charged a horrible bill. So the gardener came round, and as he was doing it, seen me polishing my car and went, "I've got 944. How much to do that?" Or it was a Seat Leon in yellow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Cupra.
And I went to that customer's driveway to do it. And he's still a customer today. High five to you, Dean Sutherland.
Cool beans. Cool
Who's
beans.
doing, by the way,
944
just
sound-
if he does listen to this, he's kicking ass and taking names. He's doing very well.
Nice.
He's just bought a gym. He's doing all his bodyweight stuff and he's selling supplements and got a plumbing business and somehow done all that through COVID. So well done, mate.
Crikey. Shout out there. Cracking on because we're running
10
short of time.
questions in 3 seconds.
Minus
Dream car.
Extended version.
Dream car.
Dream car.
Dream car.
Oh, this is the one I couldn't do. So let's just say something like Eleanor.
Okay, that's a second Eleanor.
Yeah, that was.
Who was the other one who Eleanor?
I know you wanted to detail Eleanor, I think.
Well, I think
I'll have an Eleanor to drive because I would love to choose like an Aventador or something like that. But I think if you turn around and said dream car, the money in that and it is all mechanical, just fantastic. I just have to have Eleanor.
I do like cars from those days. Do you know Gordon Keeble's £117,000 at auction today?
All right.
117. Anyway, speaking of American engine English car. Question 4: how many bouquets?
Oh, 2.
2 bouquets. So
yeah, just because we're a prosumer. Well, yeah, I use 3 prosumer brand, so we still teach the basics. I don't want to go too scientific. I believe in them all. I understand them all, but we still just teach people. Look, if you're going to do it at home, where you don't have all the tools to do a really good pre-wash and stuff, then let's do 2 buckets and a separate one for your wheels. Just keep it simple.
So hang on, a separate one for your wheels. So you're really saying 3 buckets?
If you're doing it all at the same time,
unless you empty out one of those 2
Some
buckets
people
after
do
you're
empty
done,
out.
or
Gotcha.
you do the wheels
So
first.
if
and then
it's 3 buckets, 1 for
overall.
wheels, 2 for the 2 bucket method,
Yeah.
and
Cool.
you rinse no foam from the bottom up. Period.
Ian's twitching. I still wanted to have that question that we deleted that you got all stroppy about.
Oh, let's see if we can finally do the 10. Then you can ask me the stroppy question.
Well, I can't even remember it. It's just it was different in the training
Ian
guide
was
from
never
what Ian
forgotten
thought.
it. He's never forgotten it.
So, a ceramic or a wax?
If it's for me, it's a wax.
Yeah. Well, it's much easier than shaving.
Or it's AM hybrid. Sorry.
Did you hear commercial?
I haven't done it yet. Come on. We're like 3 minutes over the dedicated time.
AMDetails.co.uk.
Use coupon AMD15.
Ferrari or Porsche? There's no wrong answer.
On the move. Ferrari, because it's got V8. Or many other Vs, just the Porsche.
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, I haven't driven them. I've been a passenger in both. I get the driver's car-esque of Porsche and all the heritage.
But Ferrari's drama.
Unfortunately, I'm a senses driver and I want the brar.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Ferrari.
Subaru Mitsubishi, there is a wrong answer.
Unfortunately, mate, Subaru. Definitely Subaru. So it's
man.
good for you because Pet Solberg, legend. Anything he
Solberg's
drove was ace. So also, I'll take the Ford Focus RS. And I'll take any other thing he drove.
Well, Colin McRae was
yeah, he
also
was a
Subaru
legend.
and Ford.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And
he's
God
from
bless him,
Scotland.
Richard Burns.
And Richard Burns, indeed.
What's
Yes.
happening with all the greatest? Yeah, how are you still alive? I love you, man.
Yeah, well, he was like a DJ before he started. You've actually met him, of course. He's got a son as well who's in the
we sponsor
America.
them, and his son's kicking ass. So,
His son's in
but I'm
America.
trying not to plug too much.
Yeah, but it was fine at Subaru. You can plug what the hell you like with Subaru.
Yeah, he had to do all that because of COVID, and they had a nightmare through COVID. Like most of all the Islamic stuff, just gave up, and then they got a false positive or whatever you want to call it, and the isolates and a anyway. The guy's still kicking ass. He's racing for Hyundai at the minute. It's incredible.
Hang on. What, Petter or Little Petter?
Pet doesn't race anymore.
No, I about to say. Oh, okay, because he was Subaru in America. They were doing that series, and is that what clobbered with the COVID then? Because he was racing.
No, I think it was the Hyundai they got clobbered with.
Okay. Oh well, I will Google. Flex or Rupes?
Okay, so let's take all the training
Rupes
thing
approved
around.
detailing
I
centre.
will try and tell the quickest story in the world. When I started detailing it and long throw DAs came out, so it moved from rotary to long throw DA or dabbling with. I have small hands for people on the cameras.
He really does.
Here is the microphone here's a Galaxy S.
They're
20
quite
for
effeminate
comparison.
as well.
Other phones are available.
It's fantastic. It makes everything look big.
That is an iPhone 3. So
Yeah, for other people. And so at the time when Flex very first came out and Rupes very first came out, I could only fit my hand comfortably around a Rupes handle for what we did back then was a 12 to 14 hour shift because we were stupid and starting out. So that's why I picked Rupes. That was literally the only reason why.
Handy in a Pringle can situation.
yeah,
So Rupes
And your dream car to detail?
would be an Audi A4 or an S3 or something super simple that I can just smash with Rupes wool and get correction level in one step. Come to my training.
Hang on. Hang on, that's your dream detail.
Honestly, mate,
Something
you
you
give
can
me
make look awesome.
something I can make look awesome and get top whack dollar for. Of course. Why do I want to sit?
But the most boring thing in the world you can have is something that turns up 99% already detailed, and you go, "Oh, I can make
Fact.
a little bit of a difference."
Someone brings me,
you
like-
want the interior covered in mold.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, exactly, right? It's going to look fantastic having this, oh my God, amazing car and doing. There's a reason, well, two reasons why I don't do it. One, there's not many where I am.
Yeah.
And any that I have done have been a bit of a pitta. And that's coming from a gentleman that understands, I would like to think, the majority how to overcome most of those pittas.
Yeah.
What I enjoy the most is when someone who comes in and they've just managed to afford the RS4 or that S3, you know, it's right at the point where they're pushing their boundary out and they've managed to wangle the deal down, but it's full of, you know, random deep scratches and wash marring. It might have the odd swirl mark, which is the mark left by a rotary, by the way. Language. And then I can knock it all out in a simple step, but get decent money for it.
Cool. That sounds.
life easy.
No, I think that
you
justifies it.
end up doing
the detailing equivalent of House SOS.
Yes, the customer's turnaround. Like the reaction you're going to get from that is better, I find.
Yeah. No,
Even when you watch
They
it,
come in the background, Westlife comes on, everything. A key change, you stand up.
It's the smoke. It's the smoke from the corners that make.
No,
make
that's
the
not. That's just I left the car on idle.
or I've sent you a car. So, final question, because we ran out of time a while ago. But final
You've got to ask
question.
the dodgy question as well.
No, I know what it is now. It's come back into my head.
Let's go.
This stuff is amazing. Sunday drive or Sunday detail?
Sunday drive with the family
You bring the family along.
off to a beach.
So many
Jacob,
people use it
right,
as an
this is-
excuse to avoid the family.
Here we go,
Sorry,
right.
I've only bought a catering.
Well, because I work and travel, I don't get to see them. So when I get home, I try. I like to think Sarah and I have created quite a good little life.
we have
work
internal
balance.
webcams. That's what you can do. I can see any room in the house on my phone.
Oh,
So
the
when I'm out
doggies.
and about, I can do it. Yeah, I can see the
Yay.
doggies. I
No,
can
so
see the
fact,
milkman.
I hate a
bizarrely.
beach. That's a discussion for another time. Sam gets everywhere, but Jacob loves it, and weirdly, he's converted me to liking his experience of a beach.
How
So
much
I-
does
That's
he
what
weigh?
those turtle-shaped sandpits are for.
and the
though.
dog goes nuts. Like she just loves running around in the sea, and it's just a cool experience.
What you can do, and I've seen this being done in Ireland, is you can get a crab fishing line, strap said child to the line, sit on the pier where there
And they
is
fish
no-
for crabs.
and you basically use them for bait, but when the sea's out, they're not going to get eaten by crabs, and they still have fun in the sand. But you can stay on the pier, which you can usually even drive onto, so you have no sand anywhere. Child
mate.
is having fun. You're still technically in control, be it on a 20-foot line. And if they do misbehave, leave them there for the tide to come up. Boom, crab dinner.
Now we try and do Sunday or Saturday drive. And we asked Jacob, where do you want to go today? And he has specific names for well, because he has all the beaches.
Oh, I
so it's
see.
like Captain Turbott's Beach, which is one with a lighthouse, and all the different ones. And it's like, do you want to go to the one that has the burger van? Oh yeah, Daddy likes that one.
Putting ideas into his head.
Do you want to have a hot dog? Maybe with the chili on top,
Burger.
possibly.
Burger.
Say the hot dog. Daddy likes that one.
So the contentious $1 million question
was this the question?
it was the order of decon. So
Yeah.
you have Fallout, you have
I already know my answer. Do
okay.
you want it just so we can keep it short?
Hit me with that range.
Right, so you do all your washing first. Don't care what your washing is. So you've
Yep.
got washing. Hit it with tar.
Yep.
Right. The reason generally tar deposits are larger.
Boom. Yeah, correlates. Ian is getting
Wait, it's a pointless
Let me
question.
rip it all out.
Go
so
on,
then
go
you
on,
can
go
either
on,
come
do-
with it.
do
So
it.
generally tar deposits are larger.
Yep.
Generally, unless you're going eco. Right. The chemicals that are in said solvent tar remover, which we're all generically going to use, do a much better job at melting behind and on top of the tar spot, and it's in your microfiber, so you kind of melt 365 degrees. If you use an iron fallout remover, whack, you're basically acid washing your car. I know solvents are an acid, but and they then begin to dissolve the tar because of what's naturally in them. So you end up clumps of tar, not melted tar, in your microfiber. And if you're just ironing and rinsing, you're wasting your time. Iron and agitate. This is a microphone. Just dropped it.
It's not. It's a pencil which now has no.
I could
working
drop
lead
this
in it.
microphone.
No, God's sake.
Oh, so yeah, tar remover, and you wipe with a microfiber,
Yep.
and then you rinse it all off.
Yep.
Iron goes on, and you agitate it. If you want, use a microfiber wash mitt or a noodle mitt. Boom, boom, boom. And the 2-bucket method, you can do that with a thicker consistency tar iron remover, like I don't know, a certain brand that may or may not be at this table. And then you rinse all down. Then you clay bar with the one you only need to use for water. Oh my God, who is this guy?
Is there any alternative?
Method.
Yeah.
Just
You're
get
going to
a
have
fucking-
your.
Which is why it's a pointless question and we don't bother asking.
So we can have.
There's nothing contentious about
Ian
it.
is
No,
BFF
so for
now.
example, if this is the extended Patreon version,
I mean, we
we've gone
could
into
start.
now.
We could start with a rotary and just take all the dirt off with the rotary.
Mate,
It would be a idea.
Let's just get a rotary, stick one of those clay mitts on it, and go
Yeah.
hoo ha. Blap. Oh wait, sorry.
There's a video out there of that. We won't go into. So
That's all right. Wait a minute. You telling me you're going to use something with forced rotation and put up? Whoa, that is a big noise.
no, just the back of it.
Oh, dear God.
before we go down this
But
rabbit
to
pit-
go on that,
Yes.
just to do a side, if I may, I am aware of countries, so here we go, that put tar remover first before they even wash
Yes.
and rinse, and it's because that country has large deposits of tar. And if they were not to do that, so the principle is only to get rid of the large deposits of tar as big as your thumb, not to get rid of the tar we have here in the UK.
Yeah.
Because if they were to not remove that and they do even all the pre-wash and the, oh my God, 150 million bucket wash, those large chunks of tar would get stuck in their mitt and create damage. So
Race cars as well.
that's the reason they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
With rubber.
know of some people that believe in using an iron mover like mine that's thick consistency
At pre-wash, I've seen.
at pre-wash. But if you do in your pre-wash, they use it as a soap because they know they're going to machine, so they just do it that way, and then they need tar. But once you're at that point, it's just like meh. If you reach the end goal, who cares?
Yeah. And if you're machine polishing, it's totally different from if you're just doing a maintenance. And all that.
Yeah, but if you're doing a maintenance wash or you're
decon.
just doing waxing and sealing and all that sort of jazz, just do the bread and butter, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Cool beans. Well, Alan, thank you so much for venturing.
We didn't even
all
talk
the way
about that
there.
before either. Like
No,
me and
no,
Ian
no,
are
no. That was
totally
off the.
bromancing.
Yeah, I'm about to say you two. I mean, Ian's now got his romantic eyes on. That it's
The table is rising.
It is rising. I call them the romantic eyes. It's
How
aroused.
touch do you think it would rise that much?
If you enjoyed this, then please ask for the extended version. And weirdly enough, it's not me that's extended this. Usually they go, Alan, you talk too much.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm always responsible for all things. I get told this by my partner. I get told this by colleagues. I'm the root of all errors.
Ian got so distracted he hardly pushed any buttons.
No, it's true. We've been like just for Dom that one. But anyway, Alan, thank you so much. I know you have a weekend of heavy petting with the Rupes guys.
Yes.
Which is happening at Design by Detail in Swallowfield, which is like Reading but down a bit. I've got to drive you through the night there now.
Thank you.
And we shall pick from a selection of lovely Subarus. Actually, only one's not got an engine warning light on, so I know which one we're going to take.
Excellent.
We're going to be in Fozzie. Smells a
Because
bit
the light
doggy.
doesn't work.
No.
Is he in
Light
coming?
works
took the
Just for the
bulb.
giggles?
in. No.
No, I'm
We
afraid
could do
not.
like
I'm
an
in-
on-the-road
I've got-
version.
I've got 15
Yeah.
minutes to a 30-minute journey for a family dinner.
Yes.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, family.
No, they don't listen to this.
Oh.
The weird thing is he's a cook. That leaves me to say goodbye. And I want to also do a little shout out to all of our listeners. This second series has totally taken off and it's been an absolute joy getting lots of feedback and messages and comments.
It's cool,
and stuff
that
on
bit,
it.
innit?
Yeah,
I
it's
missed
lovely.
that bit about YouTube.
It's warm and fuzzy and it's not venereal, which is kind of the good sort of warm and fuzzy. And so thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for those guys who've shared the podcast on their own feeds and obviously do more of that because that's good. And we're really looking forward to the next series. We've got some exciting people lined up. We've got some less exciting but potentially interesting people lined up. And we will be back coming into your ears in the new year with that, I suspect, new year being 2022. My God, life goes on. Anyway, it is goodbye from me. It is goodbye from...
Thank you, bye.
That would be Ian. And
Do you want it the short version or the long version?
the good version.
I'll be back. No, you can have me back whenever you want, guys. This was good fun.
Oh, well, you're welcome back.
Thank you so
anytime.
much. As long as everyone enjoyed it, then I'll see you all soon. Ciao.
Marvellous. Bye-bye all.